The war in Ukraine is still raging. April 25th, 2026, Ukraine's SBU Alpha unit has been active across the Eastern Front all week, and this footage shows exactly what that looks like on the ground. Russian soldiers moving in scattered groups pushed forward to attack Ukrainian positions. FPV drones already waiting for them. Look at how exposed these soldiers are. No coordination, no cover, no real answer to what's coming from above. The drones don't chase, they intercept. And once you're in frame, the outcome is rarely different. This is the Eastern Front in 2026. Control from the air, pressure on the ground, and nowhere safe to advance. This time, we are witnessing one of the most unusual attacks on the front line. In the southern Donetsk region, a soldier was moving forward, completely unaware of what was about to happen. As the FPV drone approached, the soldier suddenly stopped. He must have heard the sound of the drone, but instead of moving or taking cover, he chose to stand still. The drone quickly closed in and struck him directly. A soldier resting on the ground in the Pokrovsk direction, a Ukrainian FPV drone from the 414th Brigade appears. He's up and running, but there's nowhere to go out here. What stands out isn't just the chase. This is an African mercenary fighting for Russian forces, someone who crossed continents to end up on this battlefield. Russia is now fielding African mercenaries on the Pokrovsk front. What does that tell you about where their manpower situation is heading? This Russian soldier became the target of a drone while sleeping under a tree. This soldier, who thought he was hiding from the drone in a house garage, failed to remain concealed. This time, upon seeing the drone in front of him, the Russian soldier, instead of firing his weapon, throws it directly at the drone. A Ukrainian gunner shooting down a Russian Shahed drone at close range with his M2 Browning heavy machine gun. Ukraine's 414th Unmanned Strike Aviation Brigade, and another week of relentless FPV operations across the front. And look at the bigger picture here. Russian forces have been struggling to advance in multiple sectors for weeks now. A significant part of that comes down to exactly what you're seeing in this footage. FPV drones have turned every open field, every tree line, every road into a kill zone. Moving forward means being exposed, and being exposed means being targeted. But there's something else worth noting. Watch how these soldiers react. The hesitation, the panic, the wrong decisions under pressure. Military analysts have pointed out that a large portion of Russian infantry being sent forward right now are poorly trained recruits. Men with weeks of preparation being pushed into one of the most drone-saturated battlefields in history. No amount of numbers compensates for that. And this footage shows exactly why. Do you think Russia's manpower strategy, quantity over quality, is sustainable against this level of drone pressure? This is a controlled detonation, and the scale of it tells you everything. Ukrainian sappers in the Zaporizhzhia region located an unexploded KAB-500 and made a decision. Too dangerous to move, too dangerous to leave, so they detonated it on the spot. The KAB-500 is a 500-kilogram guided bomb, one of the most destructive air-dropped weapons Russia has been using throughout this war. When it doesn't explode on impact, it doesn't just become a dud, it becomes one of the most dangerous objects on the battlefield. Finding it, securing the area, and setting up a controlled detonation under field conditions. That's the work nobody films enough. In this footage, a soldier is seen behaving strangely. Detected by reconnaissance drones from the 414 Magyar Birds unit, he was moving through a swamp. He had no weapon, and his camouflage was torn, leaving him in a very poor condition. After a while, the soldier sat down and waited. An FPV drone had already been sent in. Lying on the ground, he was likely aware of the drone approaching him, and the inevitable end followed. In this footage, Ukrainian aviation struck a Russian base using precision-guided bombs. The strike hit the target directly and destroyed the position with a powerful explosion. This shows that air power still plays a critical role alongside drone warfare. In the Zemlyansky area of the Kharkiv region, a single FPV drone targeted 2 Russian soldiers. The Wormbusters unit of Ukraine's 414th Brigade, and Russian motorcycle infantry trying to move fast across open terrain. Not fast enough. 1 chase, 1 hit, then 3 more. Motorcycles have become a common sight on this front. Cheap, fast, harder to spot than vehicles. But against a locked-on FPV drone, speed alone doesn't save you. Motorcycle infantry versus FPV drones. Who do you think has the advantage in open terrain? In this footage, Russian soldiers attempt to cross Ukrainian border positions, on foot, with vehicles, and in small groups across multiple directions. But the area is under constant drone surveillance. Ukrainian UAV units are actively monitoring every movement. One by one, the advancing soldiers are detected and targeted before they can break through. Despite repeated attempts, none of them manage to reach their objective. This is what constant drone presence looks like on the battlefield, where every movement is tracked and every mistake is punished. Do you think it's even possible to advance under constant drone surveillance? This time, in the Donetsk region, the Ukrainian 15th Artillery Reconnaissance Brigade identified Russian UAV operators. As the soldiers arrived to set up and launch their drone, an FPV drone was sent in. The strike hit their vehicle directly, causing a powerful explosion. Some of the soldiers who survived the drone strike immediately got out of the vehicle and ran for cover. Ukraine's Ruboka unit is burning Russian logistics, 1 vehicle at a time. And look at what you're seeing here. These vehicles aren't on the move, they're not in combat, they're just sitting there. Outside the trenches, out in the open, completely unprotected. No camouflage, no cover, no one watching them. Now that raises a real question. Is this negligence? Poor discipline? Or did these crews simply abandon their vehicles and walk away? Because on a battlefield where Ukrainian FPV drones are active 24 hours a day, leaving your vehicle exposed like this is essentially handing it over. In this footage, FPV drones equipped with thermal cameras detect a group of Russian soldiers moving on ATVs. Even in complete darkness, the drone operator can clearly track them through their heat signatures. The soldiers struggle to find their direction, unaware of how exposed they are. The drones quickly move in and strike with precision. In conditions like these, there is simply nowhere to hide. This is modern drone warfare, where even the cover of night is no longer enough. Donetsk City. Night operations. Azov's first corps is back in the air. And look at this. Russian forces actually brought in air defense systems and mobile fire teams specifically to stop these drones. They saw the threat coming and prepared for it. It didn't work. Instead of protecting their rear, those air defense teams became targets themselves. Watch the footage. Every attempt to shoot down Azov drones fails. Meanwhile, the strikes keep landing. Weapons, vehicles, personnel hit one after another. 24/7 operations over Donetsk. Every countermeasure Russia deploys here ends up becoming another target on the list. Russia brought in dedicated air defense to stop these drones, and still failed. What does that tell you about where this air war is heading? Ukrainian aviation hit a Russian drone operator position in Attrition, Donetsk. 1 strike, 1 less crew in the air, more effective, intercepting drones mid-flight or taking out the operators before they launch. 11 drones intercepted. 1 operation. All Shahed and Gerbera UAVs. None of them reached their target. This is the SBU's Alpha unit with their Sting interceptors. And if that name sounds familiar, it should. They were one of the most effective anti-drone interception units in all of 2025, and 2026 is looking no different. 11 drones that were heading somewhere tonight. They didn't get there. 1 week, 2 regions, and Ukraine's Special Operations Forces just dismantled a significant chunk of Russia's rear area infrastructure. Here's what got hit across Donetsk and Zaporizhzhia, a repair base right on the Russian border in Klinkin, a fuel depot in Novomrossiysk, over 100 kilometers behind the front line, a weapons and equipment concentration in Manhush taken out, a field army depot on the Azov Sea coast in Azov, gone. And that's just Donetsk. In Zaporizhzhia, an ammunition depot in Trudov, a logistics hub, a supply depot, and an entire drone battalion's base in Smile Village. Then Berdyansk, 130 kilometers from the contact line, a supply depot, a repair base, and troop positions all hit in the same operation. Guys, 130 kilometers behind the front line. That's not a frontline strike. That's a message. Nothing behind the lines is safe. Repair bases, fuel, ammunition, drone infrastructure, all of it within reach. At what distance from the front line do you think Russian forces still feel safe? That's everything for today, April 25th, 2026. In the last 24 hours, 236 combat engagements were recorded across the front. Russia launched a massive overnight attack. Ukrainian air defenses neutralized over 90% of aerial targets. Russian total personnel losses since February 2022 have now reached 1,324,690, with 1,230 in the last 24 hours alone. And a significant milestone, Ukrainian drones reached the Ural Mountains for the first time, covering a record distance into Russian territory. The front holds. The drone war keeps expanding. Subscribe for daily coverage. No agenda. Just the footage and the facts. See you in the next one.